Hey guys, I know that you had a little issues with getting music into your podcast, and I'm not sure whether that was an Audacity issue or you just ran out of time, but I figured maybe you could use a pointer or two onto how to do that and how to make it sound good and how to work. And so my suggestion is going to be to use Audition. Now you can use Audacity to record your podcast, and I think that's great. But when it comes to putting music in, and even doing things like edits and stuff like that, and just making everything sound good, Audition is a good way to go. And I know that you guys have the Creative Suite, and so you do have Audition. So in case you might want to consider using that. So I'm just going to open up Audition here. So let me do this here. And I kind of skipped a step here, but what I have done is I have a generic multi-track session. So when you go up to File and you do New, you can create a new multi-track session. So I'll do that right now. And so we'll call this Humboldt Youth Op Generation. Okay. Say OK. So now I have a multi-track session here. So you can see multi-tracks as the name implies. So I'm going to go over here and get your guys' file out of the drop. Here it is right here. So I'm just going to drop that into this pane over here. And the other thing is, you need to get the music. So I picked out a piece of music for you. I'll send this along. If you want to continue to use it, you don't have to, but it might be good to have some continuity there. But I'm going to go into my music file, and I'm going to go down, and I saw it here a second ago. Here it is, Vienna Beat. So the first thing I'll do is I'll take the music, and I'm going to drop it up here in this top first track number 1. It's going to ask me to match the sample rate of the session, and I'm going to say OK. So I've got that in there. Move it up to the top. Let's just listen to a minute. Okay. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go down and find your podcast. It's a little light. I mean, it's a little low. So I'm going to do Control A. So I'm highlighting everything, and then I'm just going to use this little slider just to bring it up to like -3 here at the top. So now I got a nice big file. And I noticed down here at the very top that you've got this little intro piece here that's quieter than just about everything else. So I can just come in and just bring that up.
You are listening to Humboldt Youth Op.
Next up on the Humboldt Youth Op podcast.
Okay. All right. So now I'm going to go down to my multi-track that I created. I already have the music out there. I'm going to bring in your podcast. Drop it in there. Okay. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be drawing the volume up and down on the music. Otherwise, it would just cover everything. So
you are listening to Humboldt Youth Op.
So that's like in the way of your talking. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up here and we're going to do a little keyframe. We're going to do 2, in fact, right next to each other. And then I'm just going to pull this down to where I think it won't interfere with your talking. So
You are listening to Humboldt Youth Op.
Next up on the Humboldt Youth Op podcast, we have...
Asha Corcoran, a junior here at Six Rivers.
Thank you for being here.
all right, so I'm going to do a little splitting up of this. So I'm just going to use the R shortcut, which gives me a blade, then a V shortcut so I can pull that apart. So we're ducking down for the intro. The music will pop back up for a second. All right.
Here at Six Rivers.
Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
So
And so the cool thing to do here would have the music fade out as you go into the body of the interview. So I am going to go back to my razor blade, which is R, and cut that. And then V, which gives me my movement tool. I'm just going to move that out of the way for the time being. And then up here in the corner, you see this little box. If you pull that down, you'll get a fade out. So it'll go like this. So let's listen to the whole intro from beginning.
You are listening to Humboldt Youth Op.
next up on the Humboldt Youth Op podcast, we have...
Asha Corcoran, a junior here at Six Rivers.
Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
And, you know, if you want to move things up, you could just right-click on these little keyframes, and you can move the volume up or down to suit however much you need it to be under there so you can understand it. So then we're kind of do the same thing at the end. So I'm not going to delete this bit because I want it to sting out at the end. I'm going to use the minus key so I can see the whole timeline. In fact, I'll move this window pane over so I get a little more area to look. And then I'm just going to move this down to the end. Okay, so I'm down here at the end. I'm going to figure out just kind of the opposite. Use my plus key, stretch it out again. I'm just going to figure out where I want to have the music come back in and separate the two. So
it's all game. It's all good.
So here's the end of the interview.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you can do whatever you want. You know, it's all game. It's all good.
So that's a good place to use your R, bring out your blade, cut it, move it over using the V key. So just give it a little air, 5 seconds or something like that. All right. And I want this to sting out. And what do I mean by that? I want the program to end on the end of the music, right? So how am I going to do that? So what I've basically done is here's the end of the music. Here's the outro or the goodbyes, what have you, the end of the interview. So I'm just going to do basically the opposite of what I did in the intro. So I'm going to put 2 keyframes. That'll go back up to 0. 2 more keyframes. That'll go down to like neg 20. I got 27. That might be a little quiet, but we'll see what it sounds like. And then 2 more keyframes and drag that up to 0. All right. And then I'm going to put a fade up. So this will fade up under the end of the interview. So let's listen to that.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you can do whatever you want. You know, it's all game. It's all good.
Yeah, thank you very much. I've been interviewing Bennett. This is the Humboldt Youth Op podcast.
Okay, so I jumped on that a little bit. So this just needs to be moved down just a teeny tiny bit so it doesn't step on that.
Yeah, thank you very much. I've been interviewing Bennett. This is the Humboldt Youth Op podcast.
Okay, so that's how that's done. So in case you're not hip to outputting the finished file, you're going to go to multi-track up here, multi-track sessions to new file, entire session. All right, so now you've got everything.
You are listening to Humboldt Youth Op.
Next up on the Humboldt Youth Op podcast, we have
Asha Corcoran, a junior here at Six Rivers.
Thank you for being here today.
Okay, and then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to output this. But what I might do first is the levels look a little low. So I'm just going to go highlight. I'm going to do Control A, make it all big, and then I'm just going to bring it up using this slider dial right here to where the peaks are around -3. Okay, so now we have a little louder version of that. And then finally, we're going to save as, right? So I'm going to make this a MP3 because MP3s are just easier to handle. WAV files are uncompressed audio. They're huge, right? So we don't want to, and they don't, for a podcast, it's fine. So MP3 audio. And then in my case, I'm going to save this to the drop, but you could save it to your desktop. You could save it to a folder. You could save it anywhere you want. But now I'm going to do that. And that's it. So hopefully this will help you with your next podcast, getting music. You can do all of this in Audacity. It's just a little more fiddly to do. And I just find that Audition for this piece of the work that you're going to do is just a little bit more intuitive. So as always, if you have any questions or you need anything from me, you know how to get a hold of me. Please don't hesitate. And good luck with your next podcast. Thanks a lot.